Welcome r/Nuclearrevenge. I forced my Jekyll and Hyde neighbor to move out, but I didn't stop there. Seems this is too rough for pro-revenge, so I'll try the nuclear option. How we got two of our evil neighbors evicted. Buckle up, this is a rather long story. TLDR at the bottom. We, wife and I, live in a townhouse complex. For anyone outside of my country, it's like a row of houses in a gated community. Our complex has 3 rows with 6 houses, and 1 row with 5. Need room for that community pool. The 2 evil neighbors in question lived across from us. The one right across from us, Unit 10, and the one to their right, Unit 11. Not real numbers for obvious reasons. What you need to know is the driveway separating each of the rows. It's wide enough to fit 2 cars okay-ish. If both cars traveling slowly, they can pass each other with ease. When they first moved in, we got along okay with them. I even played games with their kids, 3 each per unit, when walking past to my house from the car park. I thought they were good families, as when the kids did something like kick balls at our wall and not stop, I would tell the parents and the kids got punished. I explained this cause in just one day they went from a nice family to assaulting my wife. We came home from an event, I think the movies, one night. Another neighbor of ours made it to the driveway before us, so he was first. The people in number 10, whom I will now refer to as Psycho Bitch and Arsehole Husband, had their family van parked out front of their house, across from my house. Kids were getting in and out of the van, while Psycho Bitch was keeping an eye on things. Our other neighbor, who lives on our side of the complex right next to us, moved his car slowly past Psycho Bitch and the van first. We will call him Nice Neighbor for now. When Nice Neighbor slowly moved past the van, there was no problem at all. My wife was right behind Nice Neighbor and did the exact same thing. Slowly moved her car past in full view of Psycho Bitch. The strange thing is that nothing happened. My wife made it past without even a glare. I got out and opened the garage door for her to park the car. We reversed the car into our garage, and I was about to shut the rolling door when Psycho Bitch comes screaming over and yelling, accusing us of trying to run over her kids. She barged into our garage right past me and banged on the driver's side window to the point my wife had to roll the window down, or Psycho Bitch would have broken it. She started pointing a finger and yelling about how dare my wife try and run over her kids. I want to point out that from the time my wife passed the van till the time Psycho Bitch came raging over was 2 minutes. Why didn't she blame Nice Neighbor? And why didn't she say anything as my wife moved the car past the van? It's like the worst delayed reaction in history, and to this day we still don't know the real reason they had it out for my wife and I. If the real reason was running over the kids, Psycho Bitch would have been in Nice Neighbor's face, or in my wife's face, while she moved the car past the van. My wife felt cornered and scared, and I was about to drag Psycho Bitch out of our garage when Arsehole Husband came storming over and threatened me to not touch his wife. So I had to leave my wife conned and defenseless as to hold off Arsehole Husband in the driveway. After a few minutes of screaming at my wife, Psycho Bitch went too far. She slapped my wife hard across the face and her sharp nails left multiple scratch marks and bleeding. That was the last straw for me as my adrenaline kicked in. I'm not a violent guy. I like to think I'm normally smart by having a policy of the best defenses to not get into a fight in the first place. I stormed over to Psycho Bitch, but Arsehole Husband grabbed my shoulder from behind and demanded to know where I was going. I turned round and gutted the idiot in the stomach with a right hook, then ignored him as he went down. I grabbed Psycho Bitch from behind as she was still wailing on my wife and threw her to the ground outside of our garage. I told them to rack off, polite way I said it, and leave us alone. We went inside and called the police to file a report. The police took notes and photos. I even said I punched Arsehole Husband in defense of my wife. I got nothing to hide. The police didn't do much apart from take notes, and that was it. The Jekyll and Hyde 180 they pulled on us from good neighbors to assaulting my wife really took us by surprise. In the weeks and months that followed, we got insults, glaring, and threats from units 10 and 11 as 11 joined their friends in condemning us. Most others in the complex took our side as they either saw or heard what happened. One thing was clear, units 10 and 11 had to go. We own our house and we ain't up and leaving our lives cause Psycho Bitch wants to start drama with us. First I called Body Corp. They manage the complex, kind of like a commercial hoa, but not a hoa, as not run by residents of the complex but a company, and filed a report about both 10 and 11 showcasing all our documented proof of the harassment and threats towards us. Next I talked to their landlord who owned 10 and 11, and about 5 other houses in the complex, as he is a good friend. He seemed concerned, but not enough to kick them out. Guess he really wants rent payments. So I decided to get rid of them myself. First I found their Wi-Fi network, and before I shut them out of it, I got their email address, then locked them out of their own internet connection. I had their phone number from when we were good neighbors, and got myself a burner phone. I signed them up for every spam email I could find, ordered tequila to be paid for on delivery every night of the week. I made sure their mailbox was stuffed with advertising. I even had men knocking on the door for promised fun only to leave angry, and had asshole husband and psycho bitch at each other's throats. I made sure their phone was ringing at all hours of the night. They even threw the phone out the window. As a final favor, I had a friend who runs a dog washing business come around pretending they booked her. When they explained they had no dogs and told her to duck off, she finally understood what we've been dealing with. They kept berating her to leave, throwing in racial slurs. Bad idea. She took out the hose meant to wash the dogs and sprayed psycho bitch and asshole husband and inside the house all over their carpet. I think they finally got the hint and moved out only a month later. Number 11 followed them a few weeks after. The entire complex had a huge pool party and celebration. But I wasn't going to let them off that easy. That psycho wailed on my wife for no good reason. Prepare to lose it all. From when we're on good terms with psycho bitch and asshole husband, I knew they were on temp visas while trying to apply for permanent residency. I made sure to mention to immigration where they had moved to, thanks friends in the rental market, and handed over the police report of them assaulting us in our own home for no good reason. Seems psycho bitch didn't make her own police report, so ours was the be all and end all, and was enough to get them kicked out of the country. I know the country they come from. It's hard to get work, while a lot of people from that country move here. I feel zero remorse booting them out. Zero. Zip. Nada. TLDR. Psycho neighbor assaulted my wife for no reason, forced them to move out, and get kicked out of the country. Before anyone asks, I made sure to compensate, said takeaway joints, so they not out the food they delivered, and my friend the dog cleaner insisted on going over and pretending they called her after hearing of the other things I was doing to them. She wasn't planning on hosing them, just seeing how they would react and getting what she could on camera. Trust me when I say psycho bitch and asshole husband got what they deserved for what they said to my friend. Moral of the story: don't start crap with somebody and assault them for no reason. Few more points to clear up. Because I gut punched the husband and psycho bitch assaulted my wife, the cops saw it as 2 separate assaults, and a legal friend of mine said if we went to court the only people who would win would be the lawyers. I done deliveries for just shy of 2 weeks. I made sure to stop by all these places at later dates and either forget a big amount of change or give them a big tip. Psycho bitch must have thought the chat with the police after the incident counted as a report, which it in some ways did. The wife and I went to the police station the following day and made an official report and only wanted it for records. After we were told only the lawyers would win, at least it's on official file if they did anything else. As for the deportation, I just didn't think of it to then. To consumed with getting them out of the house, to make the area safe for wife and I, to think that far ahead. You're lying. Police in your country decide who is charged for assault and who is not. Your lawyers would not advise you of a positive legal result as it doesn't involve you. It involves the Crown. Department of Home Affairs would already know where the couple moved to, as they would be updating their address to receive updates on their visa/residency status. A single assault charge would not warrant the cancellation of a visa, especially one without a conviction recorded. The RTA and or HOA would not evict/break a lease on an allegation of assault. Highly illegal. Oh yeah, and in one of your previous posts last year you say you are only 15. I could go on and on and on. This is a work of fantasy and a somewhat deluded one that weirdly has a hard on for racism at the same time. In regards to the delivery people, even if you did go and compensate them later, I still think it's a shitty thing to do. If they are as crazy as you say they are, you are putting those people in danger. I just have to put that out there. Secondly, some people might think the reporting them to immigration services is a bit extreme, but frankly this is one of a few occasions where I think it's actually appropriate. Based on the way you spell some of your words, combined with the fact that you live in a gated townhome community, I assume that you are in Canada, not the United States. But from the perspective of an American, I would rather have 100 illegal immigrants doing honest work and contributing to the economy with their business and culture than one shitty immigrant couple doing it the right way. Hey, so, meth. I suspect she didn't even notice the first guy driving by. Maybe she was paying attention to her phone, but more likely, based on the random assault, she was fixated on something else because she was on meth. Who would bang relentlessly on a car window? Hand v window. Window usually wins. Ignoring the threat of bodily harm is a fight or flight thing. Judging on the lack of Mababa's mentality, when her kids did unacceptable things before, the fight or flight instinct wasn't naturally induced. My bet. Drugs. Probably amphetamines.